Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, so today we'll do a mixed bag of different kind of questions. Okay, the first one, the number of ways in which 8 persons numbered 1, 2 up to 8 can be seated in a ring so that one always sits between 2 and 3. So as you can see that there are 8 people and they have to be seated in a ring, right? So that means uh, 1, 2, 3, etc. This is how they'll be seated. And one has to sit between 2 and 3 means we'll consider this as one unit. So if I consider this as one unit and I take them out as one group, so I'm left with 5 others. So that means total number of groups or people to be seated is 6, and that has to be seated in a circular arrangement. So that means factorial 5, 6 minus 1 factorial, right? And one has to sit between 2 and 3. So the arrangement has to be 1 in between, and 2 and 3 can swap places. So that means this has to be factorial 5 multiplied by 2, which would be 120 into 2, which is 240. Okay. Okay. There are 7 cards of each of different color and 7 envelopes of the same 7 colors. The number of ways in which the cards can be put into the envelopes so that exactly 4 cards go into the correct envelopes. So that means, first of all, I have to select 4 cards out of 7 cards. That has to go in the correct envelopes. So this can be done in 7C 4 ways. Right? Now, suppose I have done this selection and I put them in the proper envelopes. Now I'm left with 3 more cards. And they are of different colors. So let's say red, blue, and green. These are the color of the envelopes. So the red envelope cannot have a red card now. So it has to be a blue or a green. So this can be filled up in 2 ways. If this has a blue, then blue cannot have blue and blue. So therefore blue has to have green. So this can be filled in 1 way. Therefore this will get red. So that means 7C4 multiplied by 2 into 1 or factorial 2. So which means 2 into 7C4, which is 2 into 7C3.
Sir, sir, please explain the selection again.
Okay. So there are 7 envelopes and 7 cards, right? 5, 6, 7. And there are 7 cards. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and C7. Out of this, 4 cards has to go in the correct envelopes. Exactly 4 cards go into the correct envelopes. That means, suppose these are uh, red, blue, green, yellow, and there are red, blue, green, yellow um, in the uh, set of cards as well, right? So that means I can choose red, blue, green, yellow in only one way and put them in the correct envelopes, right? Correct. So that means likewise I can have 7C4 kind of combinations. Now, if let us look at it with three cards. Okay. Now red, blue, green. Okay. Now if I say only one card can go in the right envelope, right? That means that card can be a red or a blue or a green, right? So there are three possibilities of one card going into the correct envelope, and that can be chosen in 3C1 ways. If I tell two cards has to go in the right envelopes, so the combination can be RB, RG, or BG. That means I have to choose 3C2 cards out of three cards and put them in the correct envelopes. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Is the logic clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. The number of distinct positive integers that can be formed using 0, 1, 2, and 4, where each integer is used at most once is equal to distinct positive integers. So if it is a one-digit integer, then it can be only 1, 2, or 4. So there are three possibilities. If it is a two-digit integer, then the first place can be only 1, 2, 4. That means three ways. Corresponding to that, the second place can be filled in three ways. Suppose I fill first one with 2. That means 2 is gone. So I'm left with 4, 1, and 0. So I can take any one. Okay. So first place can be filled in any one of the three ways, 1, 2, and 4. Corresponding to that, the second place can be filled in three ways. So this is 9. If it is a three-digit integer, then the first place can be filled in again three ways. The second place can be filled in three ways. The third place can be filled in two ways. So this would be 18. And if it is a four-digit integer, then the first place can be filled in three ways. The second place can be filled in three ways. The third place can be filled in two ways. And the last place can be filled in only one way. So this is again 18. So therefore, 18 plus 18, 36, plus 9, 45, plus 3, 48. Okay. Okay, someone was requesting for a AM greater than equal to GM kind of problem, right? In a triangle ABC, what is the minimum value of sine A plus sine B plus sine C? Right? Now, in a triangle ABC, we know that angles A, B, and C has to lie between 180 and 0, all three angles individually. That means all three angles will be in the first or the second quadrant. That means sine of any of these angles will be positive, right? So since sine is positive, then we can apply the arithmetic mean greater than equal to geometric mean principle. This is important. So you can only apply this when for positive real numbers, right? So that means in this case, I can apply this concept. Sine A plus sine B plus sine C has to be
Sir,
greater than.
please explain it again.
Okay. The concept of arithmetic mean greater than equal to geometric mean comes from which basic? It comes from the basic that if A and B are two real positive numbers, right, then A minus B whole square is a real positive number, right? And this has to be greater than equal to 0, right? Therefore, A square plus B square has to be greater than equal to 2AB, where this is the or A square plus B square by 2 has to be greater than equal to AB, where A square plus B square by 2 is the arithmetic mean and AB or square root of A square B square is the geometric mean, right? So this is greater than this. This is the arithmetic mean of A square and B square greater than equal to the geometric mean of A square and B square. This is the concept. So that means I can only apply this concept when A and B are both positive real numbers, which is self-explanatory, right? 2 plus 3 is always greater than equal to 2 times root over 6, right? You calculate it out, you'll get the result, right? This is roughly 2.45 into 2 is 4.9 and this is 5. This is greater than 4.9. But if I take 2 minus 3, this is definitely not greater than 2 root 6. And the second thing is, if I take 2 minus 3, this becomes minus 6, which is not a real number. So this is not applicable if one of them is negative. Clear?
Yes, sir.
If both of them are negative, minus 2 minus 3 is not greater than 2 root 6. It is actually, this is minus 5 and this is 4.9. So this is not greater than. Clear? So this is only applicable when both numbers are positive. So that is why in this case, A, B, and C, all three angles has to be less than 180 and greater than 0. That means it has to lie in the first or the second quadrant. And in the first quadrant, sine is positive. In the second quadrant, also sine is positive. So sine of any angle between 0 to 180 is positive. So that means I can apply the rule here. Here.
Yes, sir.
So that means I can write sine A plus sine B plus sine C is greater than or equal to 3 into cube root of sine A, sine B, sine C. Right? And the equality will hold when the left hand side will be minimum and the right hand side will be maximum. And this will happen when all three are equal. That means sine A will be equal to sine B equal to sine C. And that will mean A equals to B equal to C, which is equal to 180 by 3, which is 60 degrees. Right? Here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means the value will be sine 60 plus sine 60 plus sine 60, which is 3 into root 3 by 2, which is 3 root 3 by. Okay. Another example of this is ABCD is a square of sides 12 centimeter each, and 4 square corners are cut off from this square. And the resultant figure is folded up to form an open box. Okay. Now, what is the maximum volume of the box? So here we have to assume this to be x, each one to be x. So that means the volume of the box will be this. This would be 12 minus 2x on each side. So this will be again a square. So the base of the box would be 12 minus 2x whole square into the height of the box would be x. This would be the volume of the box. Okay. Now here we have to maximize V, and it is of the form a square b, not ab. If it is ab, then it's very simple. Then a equal to b. But here it is of the form a square b. Right? Now, in order to maximize a square b, we have to first make sure that a plus b is a constant. Okay. For example, let's take this. A plus b equal to 12, and I am trying to find maximum value of a square b, where a and b are both integers. So let me write the values a, b, a square b. So if a is 1, b is 11, a square b would be 1 into 11, which is 11. If a is 2, this is 10, 4 into 10, 40. If this is 3, this is 9. That means 9 into 9, 81. 4 and 8 will give me 16 into 8 is 128. 5 and 7 will give me 25 and 7, 175. 6 and 6 will give me 216. 7 and 5 will give me 49 into 5, which is 245. 8 and 4 will give me 64 into 4, 256. 9 and 3 will give me 81 into 3, which is 243. 10 and 2 will give me 200. And 11 and 1 will give me 121. So the maximum value occurs here. And where is it occurring? When the value of A is twice the value of B. Right? Because A is in a square. So so basically we are maximizing AB, and then we are maximizing A with B, and then we are again maximizing that with A. So A will be equal to 2B in this case. Clear? Now if I go back to this case, here the condition is A plus B has to be constant. Now if I consider this as A and this as B, then 12 minus 2x plus x is equal to 12 minus x, which is not a constant. So I cannot apply this concept here. So in order to apply that, I will write this as 12 minus 2x whole square into half into this into 2x. This is equal to v. So now if I take 12 minus 2x as a and 2x as b, then a plus b will give me 12 minus 2x plus 2x, which is 12, which is a constant. Right? So now I can apply this rule. So in order for this to be maximum, a has to be equal to twice b. So that means 12 minus 2x has to be equal to 4x. That means 6x has to be equal to 12, or x has to be equal to 2. Right? And if x is equal to 2, then you put the value of x here, you get 12 minus 4, which is 8 square into 2, which would be 64 into 2, 128. Here. Okay. Okay. So that was about some examples of arithmetic mean greater than equal to geometric mean. Remember, you can apply arithmetic mean greater than equal to geometric mean under two conditions. One is A and B has to be positive real numbers. Okay. And if A plus B is a constant, then A into B is maxima when A is equal to B. And when AB is a constant, then A plus B is a minima when A is equal to B. And this is true for more than two numbers also. That means if A plus B plus C plus N is a constant, then the product of A, B, C, etc. up to N will be maximum when A is equal to B equal to C equal to N. And similarly, if the product is constant, their sum would be minima when they are equal. This is the concept. Okay. Just give me 1 second. I got an important doctor's call. হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম, না আমি ওনাকে কালকে টেক্সট করেছিলাম, উনি এখনো পাঠাননি। আমি আজকে একবার কথা বলে দিচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ 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 শিওর 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 শিওর। হ্যাঁ 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 কনফার্ম। হ্যাঁ উনি কোনো মেসেজ করেননি, উনি করলে আমি আপনাকে পাঠিয়ে দেবো। আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, আমাকে একটু টাইম দিন, আমি আপনাকে যা আছে ফরওয়ার্ড করছি। ঠিক আছে, ওকে ওকে। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ এইটুকু। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। সরি। ওকে। So next one is the coefficient of x square in the binomial expansion of 1 plus x square to the power 10. Now, this can be written as 1 plus x square to the power 10. So which would be, now this, if I consider this as a plus x square to the power 10, so that this would be a to the power 10, which means 1 plus x to the power 10 plus 10c1 into a to the power 9 into x square. 1 plus x to the power 9 into x square plus 10c2 into a to the power 8, 1 plus x to the power 8 into x to the power 4, and so on. So now if I look, I'm looking for the coefficient of x square only. So that means if you look at the third term, there is a x to the power 4 multiplier. So that means all the terms here will get multiplied by x to the power 4. So there will be no x squared term from this term onwards. So the x squared terms will happen only here, and here. So that means here the x squared term would be the, so if you expand this, you'll get 1 plus 10c1x plus 10c2x squared plus other terms. And if you expand this, you will get 10c1x squared into 1 plus 10c1x squared. And then the next term will be 10c1 into 9c1 into x squared. That will be x cubed. So there is no more x squared term. So the x squared terms are only these two terms. So the coefficient will be 10c1 and plus 10c2. Okay. The number of different solutions x, y, z of the equation x plus y plus z equal to 10, where each of x, y, and z is a positive integer, is what? So x plus y plus z equals 10, and x, y, and z are all positive integers. So that means all three numbers x, y, and z has to lie between 1 and 8. Because if I take 9 as one of the numbers, then at least one number has to be 0, which is not possible as per the condition. So all the three numbers has to lie between 1 and 8. Now that means let's fix the value of x. So if x is 1, then the sum of y plus z has to be 9. So that means this can be 1 and 8, or 2 and 7, or 3 and 6, or 4 and 5, right? And these can be interchanged. So that means for x equal to 1, the number of possible solutions will be 4 into 2, 8. Similarly, for x equal to 2, the total of y plus z has to be equal to 8. So that can happen in 1 plus 7, or 2 and 6, or 3 and uh, 3 and 5, or 4 and 4. Now these three might get interchanged, but this will be the same. So that means 6 plus 1, 7. For x equal to 3, the values of y and z has to be equal to, total has to be 7. So 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4, and this can get interchanged, so 6 values. For this equal to 4, this would be, the total would be 6, so 1 and 5, 2 and 4, or 3 and 3. That means 2 into 2, 4, plus 1, 5. So you can understand that you have to add up the numbers from 8 to 1. And that 1 will happen when x is equal to 8. When x is equal to 8, y and z can take only 1 and 1 value, so which is 1. So basically, you'll have to add up the numbers from 1 to 8, which would be 8 into 9 by 2, which is 36. Okay. A, B, C are three commodities such that a packet containing 5 pieces of A, 3 of B, and 7 of C costs rupees 24.5, and a packet containing 2 of A, 1 of B, and 3 of C costs 17. Then what would be the cost of a packet containing 16A, 9B, and 23C? Now here there are 3 unknowns, 2 equations given, so obviously you cannot solve it. You cannot have a unique solution for this. So basically you have to manipulate the 2 equations given to get the third equation. So the first equation is 5A plus 3B plus 7C is 24.5. And the second equation is 2A plus B plus 3C equals 17. And what they're asking is the cost of 16A plus 9B plus 23C. So basically you have to manipulate the 2 given expressions to get the third one, right? So that means you have to multiply this with a factor A, and then you have to multiply this with a factor B, such that the addition or subtraction of these two will give you this result, will give you these coefficients basically. So that means 5 into small a plus 2 into b should be equal to 16, and 3 into a plus b should be equal to 9. So what would be the values of a and b? So 3a plus b is 9, means 6a plus 2b is 18, and 5a plus 2b is 16. So therefore b will be 2. If b is 2, put the value of b here. A would be 9 minus 2 by 3, which is 7 by 3, right? It's equal to 2. Yeah. No, I'm putting some. Sorry. This is a equal to 2. Subtracting gives me a equal to 2, not b. So a equal to 2, you put the value of a here as 2. So b would be 9 minus 6, which is 3. So that means if I multiply the first equation by 2 and the second equation by 3 and add them up, they will give me this number, these values. So 5 into 2 is 10, 2 into 3 is 6, so 16, 3 into 2 is 6, plus 3 is 9, and 7 into 2 is 14, plus 3 into 3 is 9, 23. So that means I have to multiply the first with 2 and the second with 3, add them up. So 2 into 24.5 is 49, plus 3 into 17 is 51, which is 100. For any real number x, let box x denote the largest integer less than or equal to x, and the other one denote x minus box x, that is the fractional part of x. For arbitrary real numbers x, y, and z, which of the following statement is correct? Now, in order to solve this kind of a problem, as I always tell you, you have to assume arbitrary values of x, y, and z, anything that you want. So let x be equal to 1.9, y be equal to 2.4, z be equal to 3.7. It doesn't matter. It can take any value. So that means x plus y plus z will be equal to 6 and 7.3 plus 0.7 is 8. So let me make this 2.5. So 8.1. Yeah, 8.1. So x plus y plus z is 8.1. So that means look at the first one. Box of x plus y plus z, which would be 8, is equal to box x plus box y plus box z. Box x is 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, which is not correct. Second one is box of x plus y plus z, which is 8, is equal to box of x plus y. X plus y will give you 1.9 plus 2.5, which is 4.4. The box of that would be 4, plus box of z would be 3, 7, which is not holding. This is also not correct. The third one is the fractional part of x plus y plus z. In this case, it is 0.1 equals y plus z, which is 2.5 plus 3.7, which is 6.2, minus 6.2 minus y plus z, box of y plus z. Y plus z here is 6.2. So box of x plus z would be, box of y plus z would be 6. So 6.2 minus 6 plus fractional part of x is 0.9. So 6.2 minus 6 plus 0.9 will give you uh, 0.2 plus 0.9, which is 1.1, which is also not true. The last one is box of x plus y plus z, which is 8, equals box of x plus y, which is 4, plus z minus fractional part of y plus x. Fractional part of y plus x is 0.4. Z is equal to 3.7. So 3.7 plus 0.4 is 4.1. And the fractional and the integer part would be 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. So this is the correct choice. Okay. Suppose x1, x2 up to xn are real numbers such that xi equal to xn minus I plus 1 for I lying between 1 and n. Consider the sum of summation over summation over summation of xi, xj, and xk, where summations are taken over all the values of I, j, and k. That means 1 to n. And I, j, and k are distinct. Okay. Then S will equal to what? So that means we are trying to find the sum of xi, xj, and xk, where I, j, and k are all distinct. That means xk cannot be equal to xi or xj. Okay. So if for example, if I take three numbers, x1, x2, and x3, that means the sum that I'm trying to find will be equal to x1, x2, x3. If these are three numbers. If these are four numbers, x1, x2, x3, x4, then the sum that I'm trying to find will be x1, x2, x3 plus x1, x2, x4 plus x2, x3, x4. Okay. Okay. So this is the sum that I'm trying to find. That means if I consider any two of them, if I consider any two of them, then that gets multiplied with x3 plus x4, which means x1, x2 into this. If I consider x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 as something, let us say this is p, then x3 plus x4 will be p minus x1 minus x2, right? So for any two of them, they will be multiplied by the sum of the total sum minus the sum of those two. Okay, so that means S will be equal to sum over xi xj into p minus xi x minus xj. Okay, so now we have to simplify this. So this would be equal, this would be equal to sum of p into xi into xj minus sum of xi xj into xi minus sum of xi into xj into xj. So now p is a constant. It's the sum of all the numbers. Okay. So for given values of x1, x2, x3 up to xn, p will be a constant. So this would be equal to p into sum of xi xj minus sum of xi square xj minus sum of xi xj square. Now, once again, since I and j are distinct, so that means this one will become equal to p into sum of xi into p minus xi, right? Sorry, this would be once. This would be p into sum of xi into p minus xi minus sum of xi square into p minus xi minus sum of xj square into p minus xj, which would be p square into sum of xi minus p into sum of xi square minus p into sum of xi square plus sum of xi cube minus p into sum of xj square plus sum of xj cube. Now xi cube, sum of all the cubes will be the same regardless whether I consider I or j, because this also runs from 1 to n, this also runs from 1 to n. So these two would be the same. Similarly, the sum of the squares will be the same. I equal to 1 to n, j equal to 1 to n. So they will be same. So and sum of xi is nothing but p. So this becomes p square into p minus p into sum of x square minus p into sum of x square plus sum of x cube minus p into sum of x square plus sum of x cube. So that means this is equal to p cube minus 3p into sum of x square plus 2 into sum of x cube. So this is the sum that we have to find out. Now we consider two cases. One is an odd value of n and an even value of n to check what should be the result of this. So first, let n be equal to 2 just to check the behavior of even values. So if n is equal to 2, the sum becomes equal to p cube minus 3p into x1 square plus x2 square. N equal to 2 means we have x1 and x2 only, plus 2 into x1 cube plus x2 cube, which would be p cube minus 3 into p into x1 square plus x2 square would be x1 plus x2 whole square minus 2x1 x2, and x1 cube plus x2 cube would be x1 plus x2 whole cube minus 3x1 x2 into x1 plus x2. So this is p cube minus 3p. This is p. So the p square minus 2 into x1 x2 plus 2 into p cube minus 3x1 x2 into p. So now if you simplify, you will get p cube minus 3p cube plus 6 p x1 x2 plus 2p cube minus 6 p x1 x2. So everything cancels out. You get this equal to 0. So for n equal to 2, this gives you a value of 0. Now what happens if I take n equal to 3? That will be a slightly longer calculation. So for n equal to 3, my S was p cube minus 3p sigma square plus 2 sigma cube. P cube minus 3p sigma square plus 2 sigma x cube. So this is p cube minus 3p. Here I have three values, x1, x2, x3. So that means sigma x square would be sum of x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square, which would be x1 plus x2 plus x3 whole square minus 2 into x1 x2 plus x2 x3 plus x3 x1. And this would be sum of x cube means x1 cube plus x2 cube plus x3 cube, which would be plus 2 into x1 cube plus x2 cube will be x1 plus x2 whole cube minus 3x1 x2 into x1 plus x2. Then I will have plus x3 cube, right? So that will be p cube minus 3p into, this is p, so p square minus 2 into x1 x2 plus x2 x3 plus x3 x1 plus 2 into x1 plus x2 whole cube plus x3 whole cube. This is again of the form a cube plus b cube. So x1 plus x2 plus x3 whole cube minus 3 into x1 plus x2 into x3 into x1 plus x2 plus x3. So a cube plus b cube is a plus b whole cube minus 3ab into a plus b. And then we are left with the other, the third term, which is minus 3x1 x2 into x1 plus x2. So this would be p cube minus 3p cube plus 6p into x1 plus x1 x2 plus x2 x3 plus x3 x1 plus 2 into p cube minus 3 into x1 plus x2 plus x3 will be p into x3 into x1 plus x2 minus 3x1 x2 into x1 plus x2. So now you simplify this, this becomes p cube minus 3p cube plus 6p into x1 x2 plus x2 x3 plus x3 x1 plus 2p cube minus 6p into x3 into x1 plus x2 minus 6 x1 x2 into x1 plus x2. So p cube minus 3p cube, this one cancels out. Now we have x1 x2 into 6p, and I have uh, x3 x1 into 6p, x3 x1 into plus 6p, and I have x3 x1 into minus 6p. So this one will cancel out with this one. Then I have x2 x3 into 6p. So x2 x3 into minus 6p will cancel this one out. So I'll be left with this one, which is x1 x2 6p into x1 x2, which is 6p x1 x2 minus 6x1 x2 into x1 plus x2 is p minus x3. So this is 6p x1 x2 minus 6p x1 x2. So these two will cancel out, and I'll be left with 6x1 x2 x3. So which means if n is even, then the value is 0, and if n is odd, then the value would be this one. So now if I look at the options, none of the options are correct. Okay. Next one, we consider the relation a person X shakes hands with a person Y. Obviously, if X shakes hands with Y, then Y shakes hands with X. In a gathering of 99 persons, which one of the following statements is always true, considering 0 to be an even number? Okay. Now, since there are 99 people, that means to have a handshake, you need to have two people, right? So that means if I select pairs of two, I will be left with one person who will be left by himself, right? So that means the first statement says that there is at least one person who shakes hand exactly with an odd number of persons. So there is one person who will be shaking hands with no person. That means zero. And zero is considered as an even number. So the first one is not correct. The second one says there is at least one person who shakes hands exactly with an even number of persons, which is correct. So option B. Option C says there are even number of persons who shakes hand with exactly an even number of persons. So even number of person would be, so basically if I take pairs of two, that means 98, which is 49 plus 49, which means the third statement is not true. Okay. The number of ordered pairs of integers x, y satisfying the equation x square plus 6x plus y square equals 4. Now, we can clearly see that this is a quadratic in x and y. So we form the quadratic, we write it in the quadratic form. So I have a 6x. So therefore, it would be of the form x square plus 6x plus 9 plus y square equals 4 plus 9, which means x plus 3 whole square plus y square will be equal to 13. Now, obviously, these are two squares. So the right hand side has to be the sum of two squares. So 13 can be only written as 2 square, not 2 square, sorry, 4 plus 9. So which means plus or minus 2 square plus or minus 3 square. This is the only way that 13 can be written as a sum of two squares. There is no other way in which 13 can be written as a sum of two squares. Okay. Now, that means x can have, so x plus 3 can have values either this or this. So x plus 3 can have values of plus or minus 2 or plus or minus 3. That means it can have 4 values, right? And y can have, if x plus 3 is plus or minus 2, y will be plus or minus 3. So that means combination will be 4. And if x plus 3 is plus or minus 3, y would be plus or minus 2. So again, combination of 4. So 4 plus 4, 8. And then if I put x equal to 0 and in the original equation, if x is equal to 0, then what do I get? Y equal to plus or minus, no, sorry, this would come in this equation. So in the original equation, I can write this as x uh, x plus 6x plus 1. Yeah. So that means if x plus 3 is plus or minus 2, y is plus or minus 3, and vice versa. So there can be only 8 combinations. There cannot be any other combination for x and y. Okay. Okay. I also had something else in mind. Uh, okay. Just one quick last one. This is from geometry, rather coordinate geometry, not geometry. Okay. Let C be a circle of radius root over 20 centimeter. L1, L2 be lines given by 2x minus y equal minus 1 equals 0 and x plus 2y minus 18 equals 0 respectively. Suppose that L1 passes through the center of C and L2 is tangent to C at the point of intersection of L1 and L2. If AB is the center of C, which of the following is a possible value of A plus B? We first draw the circle here. And we are given two lines, L1 and L2. L1 passes through the center of C. That means L1 is the diameter. And center of C is AB. This is L1. And L2 is a tangent to C at the point of intersection of L1 and L2. So this would be tangent here. This would be my tangent here. Now I have to find out the coordinates of A and B. So first I have to find out the coordinates here, which would be the point of intersection of these two. So 2x minus y is 1 and x plus 2y is 18. That means if I multiply the first one with 2, I will get 4x minus 2y equals 2. Add them up, I get 5x equals 20. So x is equal to 4. If x is equal to 4, then from the first equation, y becomes 2x minus 1, which is equal to 7. So y is 7, x is 4. So these are my coordinates of the point of intersection. And I know that the radius of the circle is given as root over 20. So this is my radius. So the square of the radius will be the distance between these 2 points, which is given by x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. That is 4 minus a whole square plus 7 minus b whole square. And r is root 20, so this is equal to 20. So this is one of the equations that I get between a and b. And the second equation would be that a and b is a point on the line L1. So a and b should satisfy the equation of the line 1. So that means 2a minus b should be equal to 1. So that means minus b will be equal to 1 minus 2a. So I put this here, I will get 20 equals 4 minus a whole square. That means 16 minus 8a plus a square plus 7 plus 1 minus 2a whole square, which would be which would be 20 equals 16 minus 8a plus a square. 7 plus 1 would be 8, so plus 64. 8 into 2, 16 into 2, 32 minus 32a plus 4a square. So which would be 5a square minus 40a plus 80 is equal to 20. So that means 5a square minus 40a plus 60 equals 0. So a square minus 8a plus 12 equals 0. So a minus 6 into a minus 2 equals 0. A is equal to 2 or 6. So that means when a is 2, b would be 2a minus b would be 2a minus 1. So when a is 2, b would be 4 minus 1, 3. When a is 6, this would be 11. Now there are two possible set of values, 2, 3 and 6, 11. The reason is that there can be another circle on the other side. So there can be two solutions, one here and one here. So of the two solutions, they're asking for the value of a plus b, which is either 5 or 17. So here the value is given as 17. Okay. Okay, so that's all for today. And you have your exams on next Sunday. I think we have one more session before that on Tuesday. So all the best, and we meet again on Tuesday. Take care. Bye.